to what is now our sixth parent university. So welcome for joining us. What we have on our screen in front of us is a website. If you have any questions regarding EdTech or anything else like that, what is now our sixth parent university. Let me, sorry, I'm getting some feedback in my headphones. Welcome for joining us. This. Okay, all right. But if you have any questions, definitely go to bit.ly/colonial parent forum. We're actively monitoring that forum, and we'll be sure to reach out and answer any questions that you have. So we're going to skip this part. But if you are in the chat box, if you want to take a second, we'd love to know who you are and what school you're from. So if you can jump in there and leave your name and your building. All right, so again, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our sixth parent university for this school year. I'm going to be your host again. My name is Tom Gavin, and I am the supervisor of EdTech and also libraries in the Colonial School District. So before we get going, just a real quick, brief overview of our agenda. So the first thing we're going to cover is a real quick overview of the Parent University EdTech series. Then we're going to give an overview of some EdTech support options in Colonial. But really the purpose of today's presentation is to inform you around a great learning platform that we have in Colonial School District that's called Sora. And Sora is an ebook collection that we have in the district. Fortunately in our district, we are one-to-one. So students have Chromebooks, so we're going to show you how you can use your student Chromebook to access free ebooks and also audiobooks. The fourth thing that we're going to talk to you about today is what's called the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. It's a great program. Fortunately, as part of our partnership that we have with Delaware Public Libraries, Colonial is one of only just a handful of districts in the state where students age 0, or I guess I should say 1 month to 5 years old, are eligible to receive one book a month that is mailed directly to your house. So it's a wonderful opportunity. And if you take full advantage of it, by the time the student reaches the age of 5, they will have over 60 books in their home library. So it's a great opportunity to increase student literacy in your house. And I want to walk you through how you can sign up for that program. It literally takes minutes, so not a big deal. And then last, we want to give everyone an opportunity for Q&A at the end. All right, so real quick, just an overview of our parent university. So really the purpose is we want to provide families with both support and guidance around EdTech. This parent university series will be a weekly Zoom series every Wednesday at 4:30. We definitely want to ask parents to sign up if you haven't. But the great thing about this series is that all of our sessions will be recorded and we will publish them on the YouTube channel. So no big deal if you're unable to make the 4:30 call. All right, the second thing we just want to go over again with families is all of the different EdTech support options that we have in Colonial. We have quite a few. So if you are on your student's computer, you can actually access this form by clicking your student's folder in the upper left. It'll say Colonial Student. Go to EdTech Support Options. It will open up a new Google Doc that you see here in front of you, and it will list all of the different EdTech support options that you have. So in our district, if you have an issue with your Chromebook, you can put a IT tech ticket in. You can also call our IT support call center. Additionally, we have an EdTech support form. That was the link you saw at the beginning of this presentation. Additionally, we have office hours that are available. So if you want to come in, you want to ask some questions, have a one-on-one session with a member of our team, definitely please sign up using this You Can Book Me link. And then the last piece that we're providing for families is we're providing a list of resources and training. So exactly what we're doing now and what we've been doing for each of our parent universities, we've been listing all of the presentation links and the YouTube video that goes along with that. So as you can see, as I scroll through, we're on number 6. I want to scroll down to that. And so number 6, you can click on the presentation link here. We'll post the video up tomorrow. But we've also given you some resources. So if after our presentation you want to go back, if you have a question about how do I set up and access Sora, we've got a quick little video there that will show you, as well as if you want to access the Delaware Division of Public Libraries, and we'll get into that. But and then we've also included the link for signing up for Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. So we definitely want to make you aware of that resource so you have that available to you. So let's go back to our presentation. And let me start it again. I apologize. Oops. All right. All right, so the next thing we want to talk about, and it's really the purpose of tonight, is we really want to share how we're promoting literacy and independent reading in libraries and schools in the Colonial School District. And what we're excited about and what we're going to talk about today is a really powerful learning tool that's called Sora. This tool is available to all learners. So when I say all learners, it's available to students, and it's also available to staff in the district. What's great about this tool is it's really made possible because of our district's partnership with the Delaware Public Libraries that you see here. Fortunately, because of this partnership, we actually established it in 2016. This is actually only our second year with Sora. So, but because of this partnership, what's really beneficial for our district is that it provides every Colonial student a library card. And so what's great about that is it's really opening up and really providing students with a great opportunity for opening up access to materials and resources that they wouldn't necessarily have access to without this partnership. So I don't think the Delaware Libraries is listening, but I always want to give a shout out to the Delaware Libraries for the partnership that we have with them and providing all of the valuable resources that they provide to Colonial School Districts. So. All right, so let's actually just get into Sora. So really simply, what is Sora? So Sora is really the best way for students and staff to access the Colonial School District's collection of ebooks and audiobooks. And it also includes, like I said a second ago, it also includes access to the Delaware Division of Public Libraries digital collection of ebooks. There's a lot of benefits of using Sora, and we're going to get into that in just a minute. All right, so just a brief overview of how Sora works. So Sora has what you can think of as 2 libraries. There is a Delaware shared library that you see in this cell here, and then there's a Delaware Public Libraries collection that you see here. So the Delaware Schools shared library, that's the Colonial Library. And that library is just starting out. We've now entering our second year. We've been growing the collection. Currently, we're right up to about 3,000 books, but that is growing daily and monthly. But these are books that are purchased by the Colonial School District. What's great about Sora and how students access is it's really simple. Students are using Clever that we've discussed in these parent universities, and we're going to show you how to do that. But the level of books that students have access to in Sora they have juvenile, which is K to 8, they have young adult, which is K to 12, I'm sorry, 6 to 12, my apologies. And then they have general adult, which is our high school students. For the Delaware Schools Shared Library, students can check up to 3 audiobooks or ebooks. And then there's also the Delaware Public Library. So this is a separate one. And again, what's great about this partnership is our district's the only district in the state where our students using Clever in their Google account, they have a Delaware Public Library card, and they can access the Delaware Public Library Sora collection. And what's great about their collection is they have, well, it's over 30, this was last year, they have over 30,000 books. I think they're probably up to 40,000 now. I'll have to update that. And these are books that are purchased by the state library, And again, our students have access to the entire collection. Now, when I say they have access to the entire collection, one thing that we always want to make parents aware of is that it is filtered based on the age of the student. So for example, our students in K-8, they only have access to juvenile books. They don't have access to the young adult books. And also with our high school students, one of the things that we were able to work out as part of this partnership was we gave our students access to general adult, but we did not give them access to mature adult. So it is filtered based on the student's age and what grade they're in. So we always want to make parents aware that we are providing a level of security for our students. The great thing about the Delaware Public Library's collection is students can check out up to 7 books. So if you look at these two libraries, the Colonial Library and then the Public Library, students can check out up to 10 ebooks and audiobooks or audiobooks. All right, so let's actually just get started. So how do students access Clever? And then how do they get into Sora and how do they use Sora? So again, what you see here in front of you, this is my student's account. So think of this like your student's Chromebook account. So your students would click upper left, Colonial Students. They're going to click Clever, and that's going to take you to the page that we have here. They're going to select Colonial Login. And then that's going to bring them to Clever. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to have your students locate this little guy here. And this is Sora by Overdrive. And you're going to have them click on that. And sometimes the first time your students come to this page, they might have to find the Colonial Library. Mine comes up right here, but I definitely want to show you, if you can't find the school, you're going to see there's a not your school, switch schools option. So I'm going to click on that. And you can see at the bottom, there's an option for my school isn't listed. Just click on that. And the nice thing is once your students do this the first time, it'll remember. Just type in Colonial. And then you're going to notice it says the Delaware Schools Shared Digital Library. So you're gonna click on that. And then it's going to ask you, do you want to sign in using your Colonial School District account? Select that. It's getting dark out already. All right, daylight savings time. And what you're going to notice on the following screen is we are now signed into Sora. So we're just going to go over just a few basic navigation tips, tricks for using Sora. Great thing about Sora is it's pretty intuitive. Just kind of jump in, play around. You're not going to break anything, which is great. What you're going to notice when you first come into Sora, it's another application that's very tab based. So you're going to notice at the bottom there's a home button, there's an explore button, there's what's called a shelf button, and then there's what's called a me button. And we're going to just kind of go through each of these tabs here. So your home button, it's going to give you really the most up-to-date information. So in some classes, our teachers do assign books. And if they did, you would notice at the very top, there would be an assignment. Right now, my student doesn't have that. The next thing it's going to show you, obviously, is if you have any books that are out on loan. So as you can see here, my student has 2 books, and he might even have a third, but I'll show you how to find that. That's just going to give you some real basic information. It's kind of like when you log into Netflix. Sometimes Netflix will give you recommendations on things that you might like. So you kind of notice here, it gives you that recommendation on books you might like. The big item really in Sora is going to be in this Explore tab. And that's really going to be your best friend, especially as your students are trying to locate books. You know, my student's an elementary student. He has access to books from K-8. While sometimes you don't want to discourage your students in the choices of books that they read, however, you don't want them to become so frustrated with actually reading that they give up. So you definitely want to guide them and help them search books that are appropriate for their age. So just some tips. What Sora has, you'll notice here in the upper left, is there's a preference button. And I'll give you some tips what I like to do. I like to set, so when I'm searching for books, only available books will come up. So the thing with Sora is, just because a book is available in the library, it doesn't mean that it's available to check out. It's just like a real library. If someone before you has the book checked out, you can't check it out. So I usually like to filter just on books that are available, but you can make that decision yourself. But then what I would recommend for your student is to actually go in and search out books in this upper left area. So if I click this upper left area, you're going to notice there's an advanced search. And what I would recommend is I would have your student come to the Lexile level. Depending on what grade you are, you can roughly think of these Lexile as the grade that they're in. So 200, that would be roughly second grade, give or take, all the way to fourth grade, which is your 400. So this would be 4 to 6, 6 to 8, 8 to 10. So I have a third grader, and I would probably recommend for him to be looking at books between the 2 and the 400 level. He can also select format, so he can choose format, or he can say, maybe I just want to find audiobooks or ebooks, or you can do both. Again, that's up to you. You can choose text difficulty. So I would probably choose grade 3 for him. And then now when he begins searching out books, it's only going to give him recommendations for books that meet that criteria. All right. So again, I always recommend, you can kind of see here, you can kind of, if your student's also interested in specific subject areas, maybe juvenile fiction, I can click on juvenile fiction. And then this is going to bring up, and you'll notice it's only showing me books that are available because I selected that. And you can kind of see there's some really great books that are in the collection that your students can access. And the really great thing is, if there's a book that your student wants to check out, really simply, they just click that borrow button. They make it really easy. So I'm going to click borrow, and then that's going to load the book. And what's nice about this is, as a student, I can click, or I can use the arrow key, right arrow, left arrow, to go through the book. I can bookmark it. So when I'm done reading, I can bookmark it. Some other options that I like when I'm reading a book is you can choose, depending on the student, whether you want just to see one page at a time. So let me kind of show you that preview, or you can choose 2 pages. So it's really about personalizing the experience for the student. There's definitely not a right or wrong. Additionally, what's great is you can search within the book. So if a student's doing some maybe research things, they want to go back, or maybe they're reading a quote and they want to pull it up, they can search for it here. Additionally, students can select this hamburger button. That's going to give you some options such as search, chapters, bookmarks, reading settings, and tips and secrets. I'm going to show you readings and settings because I think it's nice. Depending on your student and the environment, you can increase the text size or decrease the text size. If it's night, sometimes it's easier on your eyes to turn it dark, so you have that option. You can do a SEPA or bright or high contrast. Again, it's really about the learner and their preferences. The last thing I'll show on this area is you can change the font of the text. I actually like this open. Dyslexic doesn't mean that you have to be dyslexic to choose it, but I do find that it's easier for myself to read. And again, it's personal preference. You might not find that. I'm going to select done. And then you have some tips and secrets, so you can kind of read that and get some tips there. When you're done, what you can do is you can hit close if you're done reading the book. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And so now I'm back to that Explore page. All right, so now let's go to the third tab, which is the Shelf tab. The shelf tab, think of it like your bookshelf. It's going to show you what books that you have checked out. And again, the Colonial Library, you can check out 3. The Delaware Public Libraries, you can check out up to 7 books. There are due dates, just like in a real library. When you check out a book, you have 14 days. The nice thing is once you get to the last 2 days, you can renew the book. So if I click, let me go back. If I click this options right here, you're going to notice I have an option here to renew. But if I click on it, it's going to tell me that I can't do it until 10 days. So if you are interested in a book and you're reading it and the book's about to be turned back in, definitely use that as an option. The other thing that I want to share with Shelf, which I think is important, is go in and play around, check out books. Again, you're not going to break it, but if you're not going to read the book, rather than have it checked out and another student can't check it out, go into the options. You're going to notice here there's a return, and I can return the book, and that gives another student an opportunity to read the book. The last thing I'll share with you in the options section is in some books, this might be an idea maybe for I know Christmas is coming up or the holiday, they make student Kindles. I'm a big Kindle fan. Mine usually sits on my desk, but maybe it's upstairs. With Sora, you have the option to send to device. So while you can read your books on the Chromebooks, which is great, you can also send it to your Kindle. So what happens here is if I send a Kindle, it will open up and ask me to sign into my Amazon account, and that book will go right to my Kindle device. So just maybe a possible early Christmas gift. I know you can pick them up. I think the kid devices run between maybe 60 to 80. And again, some students aren't fans of Kindle. So again, it's just giving you options. So I'm going to go back. And then the last tab that we'll share is the Me tab. The Me tab, it's kind of, it really gives students achievement rewards as they're working through it. And kind of think of it like your fitness watch when you earn ribbons or you earn badges. Sora also does that same for the students. So for some students, it's a high motivator. For other students, it's not. Again, it just depends on the learner. The nice thing about this as well is it will give you some snapshots as far as time read that your students are reading. The thing I will say about the stats is if you send the book to a Kindle device, it doesn't record this data here. So not a big deal, but just wanted to make you aware of it. All right, so the last thing I want to share with you is what you're going to notice in this upper right hamburger button is right now when kids first sign in to Sora, they only have access to the Delaware School Shared Library. So that's the Colonial Library. What students have to do, and they only have to do this once. I actually deleted my students so I could show you. But what they have to do is they actually have to add a library. So they would click add a library, and then all they're going to need to do is just type in Delaware. And you're going to notice there's a Delaware Libraries. Just click, this is my library. And right now, my student is now signed into the Delaware Libraries collection. And like I said before, this is the big collection. Like I said, it has over 30,000 books. This is the big one that I definitely recommend using. And again, all of our students have access to this as well as staff because of our partnership. So definitely connect that. I will share with you if you forget how to do that. If I go to that Family EdTech Support Options document like we've been showing you, and you go to that bottom table, it is right here. So how do I add the Delaware Division of Public Libraries to my account? We got a video there you can go back and watch, or you can go back and watch this video. All right, so let's go back to Sora. So that's really it for Sora. That's just a real quick, easy overview of how Sora works. I think the last thing I'll share with you is always keep in mind is there's two libraries here. So again, you have the colonial one and then you have the public libraries. What I always recommend for people when they're searching for a book, so I'm going to click that. This will be kind of the last tip, is I would click search all libraries. So again, it's going to search the colonial and it will search the public library. So definitely enable that. And that's really it with Sora. Like I said at the beginning, the great thing about Sora is just jump in. You're not going to break anything. Just play around, and we hope that you find the items helpful. I do want to share one last tip, and this will tease for our next parent university. So let me select a book. So let's take a look at this book here. Okay. So one of the things that we're going to preview in our next parent university is the district has a tool that's called Don Johnston. And Don Johnston's an assistive technology tool. And there's two different tools that Don Johnston has. There's a co-writer tool, which is a great tool to help struggling students with writing. So it's a great tool that we're going to preview. But then there's also a tool called Snap and Read. And the great thing about Snap and Read is it offers some accessibility tools like text to speech. So let me just give you a quick preview. So it's kind of hard to see, but on the upper right, I have a little button here in the extension. You kind of see Snap and Read. I can click on that. And what Snap and Read will do is you actually have two different ways that you can do a screen reader. I can do this first. Speaker, and what happens is if I click
just where to look, you'd see a skinny dirt trail that went from the road to the water. Ollie walked her bike down the trail.
As it's
the
highlighting,
trees seemed to close in around her.
Of you can hear
Above
that,
was a
but
white rail bridge. Below, the creek paused in its trip down the mountain.
And then if the student's done, they just click one more time and it goes away. The other nice thing about Snap and Read is that sometimes, if you ever notice, there's sometimes images that students come across where I'd probably say that a meme would be the best one. So let's say a meme with some text. Snap and Read also has this tool here, and we'll go over it next week. But you can, if this was an image, and you can also use it for this, but if this was an image, you could click on it. Snap and Read will take a picture of it. It'll process it. It's a little slower.
Just where to look,
in a second,
you'd see a skinny dirt trail that went from the road
tool for students. But again, we're gonna go over some of those features with co-writer and Snap and Read next week. So I definitely want to kind of tease that before next week. All right, so let's go back to our presentation, and then let's actually go into our last part, which is an overview of Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. So you can click this link here, and then we've also included the link here in that document. So you can access it either way. You can type lib.de.us/imagination. But again, because of our partnership with the Delaware Public Libraries, Colonial School District is one of only 5 in the district where students who reside in our district and obviously 0 to 5, they're probably not necessarily going to our school yet because 0 to 3, they might be in our pre-K program. But regardless, if they're 0 to 5 and they live in Colonial School District, those students are eligible to receive 1 book a month until they hit the age of 5. So again, great opportunity. A student that started it at birth all the way to 5 would have 60 books in their home library. So it's a wonderful opportunity for our students, and we definitely want to encourage parents to take full advantage of it. So all you're going to do is you're just going to click on that link. It's going to come up to Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. These books are wonderful. I've had them sent to my house for my students. What's great is each month the book's mailed. What's really neat about the book, when it's mailed to the student's house, it actually has the student's name, so you can kind of remember how excited you were when you would get mail. Your student will have that same level of excitement. And again, as you see, the purpose is really to develop the habit of reading with our students, and that's critical as students are obviously starting out from 0 to 5. But simply all you're going to do is come to this website. It literally takes minutes, and I'll walk you through. I'm going to come to the online registration. I'm going to click consent. I'm going to click agree. It's going to ask for your address. So I'm just going to use my work address. That's the wrong zip code, so let me fix that. I would select what neighborhood. Then it's going to ask to validate your address. It tells me, oh, I am available. I can continue. And then it's going to bring you up to this window where it's going to ask you for your child's name. So I'm going to type that in, your student's last name. It'll ask to check availability. So I'm going to do that. So this one tells me I don't meet the age requirement because my student's too old. So let's make them a little bit younger. Now let me check eligibility. And yes, my child's eligible. I'm going to click continue. It's going to ask that you put in your last name, and you can do your parent's second, first name, last name if you want. You don't have to. I'm going to put in an email address. You have to put in an email address. Confirm your email address. Put in a phone number. Click continue. And I'll be done in a second. What will happen is the public library, someone at the local public library will approve your application, and then within a month or two, you will start to receive books that are sent to your house for your student. So as you see it, literally, what did it take me? 3 minutes to complete that. So I know not everyone out there has, students that are, between 0 and 5 in your house. That's fine. But if you come across friends, family, other people that you know that live in Colonial School District, definitely share with them the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. Again, it's free, and it's a wonderful opportunity to increase the habits of reading with our students and really promote literacy. So then we're going to go to our last slide. And this is, we're going to do a Q&A, and this is where I turn off YouTube Live and I stop the stream. So I want to turn that off in a second. But before I do that, again, I want to thank everyone for joining us for our 6th Parent University. Again, we really want to offer this to help support parents, both with remote learning and face-to-face. So we hope that you are finding these series helpful. And we want to just reemphasize for our next Parent University next week, we're going to be sharing the tool Don Johnson that I teased earlier. And that tool has 2 different tools. It's called Co-Writer and Snap and Read, and both helps struggling students. It actually helps all learners. So definitely look forward to seeing you then. Otherwise, have a great night and good night.